Howdy, this is Sailor the Piper Man. Piper the Sailor Man smoking. Coming to you from Puerto Rico. But I had to smoke a little bit of this Cavendish that my wife had gotten me. It tasted so well, I slept thinking about it. You ever slept thinking about a pipe tobacco? Well, I sure did. So I got up. It's about maybe 3, 4 in the morning, and I'm actually smoking early morning pipe. But I want to talk about a story about a very young man who was, number one, he was a slave. No, number two, he was in ancient Egypt. Number three, he did a hard job, which he was a stone cutter. He learned his craft at a very young age, and so were those around him slaves. He lived in the land of Goshen. So this man had a destiny. I'm sure he wasn't thinking about his destiny. He was thinking day to day, doing his job and living his life, being told what to do. And I can imagine he was a very strong man, very fiery. Well, this prophet came around named Moses. Told the people, look, I came down to liberate you guys from the hands of Pharaoh. So Moses did great miracles against Pharaoh. Still, Pharaoh wouldn't let him go until finally Pharaoh made the decision, I gotta let these people go or all of Egypt is gonna perish. But he did. They ended up crossing the Sinai, and well, it ended up that these thousands and thousands of people that were liberated from Egypt ended up in the desert, Sinai Desert. And he was one of them. He became like Moses' right-hand man, somebody strong, somebody that people looked up to, courageous. But the people constantly complaining, actually seeing God deliver them, doing this, doing great miracles. They were still complaining there. A lot of them wanted to go back to Egypt. I guess they were more comfortable there, even though they were slaves. They prefer that than their freedom. Very rebellious, undisciplined. Sometimes people that are slaves get so comfortable of being told what to do that it takes great effort to change their mindset. And that's what happened with that first generation. The majority of them perished out of the desert for 40 years. Never entered the promised land except two, Caleb and this guy that I'm talking about, Joshua. So can you imagine half your life, right? 40 years in the desert. He must have been in his 20s when he came out of Egypt. So he was like in his late 60s, probably very strong man living out of the desert. He grew in stature, he learned from Moses. Then finally God chose him as the leader to lead the people into the promised land. When you read the first couple of chapters of Joshua, God is always telling him, if you obey me and you keep my commandments and you discipline, and he said to him, take heart. Follow my instructions. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to defend you. I'm going to lead you. So now it was his turn to lead that second generation into the promised land, into the land of Israel. But one thing, they were going to have to fight their way into the land. They were going to have to defeat armies. So God constantly told them, take courage, be courageous, be courageous, be courageous. And that was very interesting. After 40 years in the desert, going into the land, God is still telling him to be courageous. 40 years they came out of Egypt, they fought in the desert. He already been into battle, yet God is telling him to be courageous. Why was that? He was going to have to make difficult decisions, courageous decisions. He was leading a pack of people that had never been into that type of warfare. They were going to have to fight giants in the land. There were giants in the land. If you study the history, there were giants in the land, bigger, stronger, probably more powerful. They were going to go up against these people, and they were looking at things in the natural realm, physically, instead of realizing that God was with them. But he was a man of faith. There's one chapter there where it actually shows all the different tribal groups that Joshua led the children of Israel in war. I mean, we think about it, but we don't realize that the type of warfare they had to fight. Bloody. People died. And so often, I don't know if you're husband or wife, you have to lead your family to your promised land, my promised land. My promised land was here coming to Puerto Rico. My kids didn't want to come. What's in Puerto Rico? Because they couldn't see. After 9/11, my wife was in 9/11, one of those buildings, and she almost died, and things were changing in New York, and I was getting older. I was saving my family from the chaos which most of you see on the news about New York now. It's about to become a Muslim state. I saw this over 20 years ago. So I'm like, let's leave. Let's go. My children didn't know how to speak the language because they were Americanized, and they had to learn, and they had to have new friends, and my wife had to readjust and get new jobs and get education and all this. And sometimes you got to make tough decisions, and for that you need courage. In every walk of your life, you could be in a great job for a long time, but the handwriting is on the wall, and you got to move on. And sometimes people, you got to get people out of their comfort zone. And I had to do that. Now you ask my family, what do you think after what the decision I made to come to the island? They're going to say, oh, this is great, fantastic. Our life changed for the better, this and that. But going through the process, there wasn't much faith in me. Lesson, take heart in life. If you're going to lead, you're going to have to make decisions that oftentimes they're not going to understand, but you need to make those decisions for the betterment of the whole tribe, the betterment of your wife, your family, everyone. That's the lesson I want to leave you. Take heart and be brave.